distinguished guest, Arta Istrefi. I'll read what Blerina wrote. Arta is a global expert in female entrepreneurship and a driving force behind Norval Network. Is that correct, Norval? Hmm?
It's the true unicorn.
It's the true unicorn. Can we buy this one for your daughter? Where she's a driving force behind Norval Network, where she's reshaping the future of working through artificial intelligence. Her work as a mentor and country program officer for the Swiss entrepreneurship program is evaluating startups, transforming the entrepreneurial landscape. Joining. As another president.
Another kind of diversity.
Not that kind of diversity, no. See, well, nobody's perfect, I guess. So this is what Blerina wrote about you, Grant. It's Grant is a prominent angel investor with a stake in 112 startups around the world. An angel investor in 112 startups that has become 113, I think. Yes. Every time I meet this guy, it's always another 3, another 4. When I met him, it was like 87 or something, 90. Yeah, good. I met Grant 30 startups ago. Yeah, and. Okay, yeah. So his startups are focused on real estate, clean tech, and fintech. So as a key figure at Hangar 75, right? Ventures, and he's also the president, the very honored president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Albania. So thank you very much for joining. Last but not least, my very favorite president, Mr. Ardian Hoxha. Let's see what Blerina wrote about you. 20 years of experience. Ardian has a stellar track record in transforming bold ideas in successful ventures. That's actually true. There's a lot of people in here that can vouch for it. As the chapter president of Keiretsu Forum, most important position, he's connecting investors across 9 countries and driving innovation in the region. Thank you very much for joining this panel, Mr. President.
My pleasure.
Great. Round of applause for our panelists. Judging by Agnesa's look, I'm taking this a little bit too long. I should be shorter. Yes, thank you. Please give me the look again so I know when I'm going for too long. Great. So I'd like to start with directly with a question for all panelists. So this is going to be a little bit more of a broad question for each of you. Just to get a little bit of everyone's perspective. So how would you describe, very shortly, the current state of startups and investment ecosystem in the Western Balkans?
Starting from me? Okay. So thank you. Thank you, Ravik. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. It's a good way to conclude the week. So yeah. I was preparing more for a more official panel, but seems that you missed the Friday evening talk. So yeah, thank you for that. And so yeah, in terms of answering your question shortly, how I see the perspective of startup ecosystem, I think if we zoom out a little bit, and that's the best way to see the progress, because if we are in that vicious cycle, sometimes we are not able to see how far we have gone in the multiple direction in the ecosystem. Like comparing for the last 12 years as ICK was funded, I think the ecosystem has become more mature in terms of number of players and stakeholders, number of supporters, number of startups, and also the preparation and the maturity of the people who are involved, the ability to kind of contribute in the system. So I think these are, as I won't call pros and the trend on the ecosystem. Of course, there are a lot to be done, and that's why we are here. There are also some setbacks which are usually related to funding, and I believe we are going to explore that further through this panel, and not all challenges here, but we will continue and work together as an ecosystem in order to be able to improve and to help many daughters and many youngsters and many aspiring entrepreneurs to become business people, to succeed. And as of today, because I'm a data analyst by degree and I did catch very much keywords, what were you talking about? So it's a professional thing. Many times you have mentioned dreams here, and I believe the ecosystem is mature enough to help people transform their dreams into the real ventures. And we can't do that on our own. We need to have a cross-collaboration among region and also within different stakeholders. So yeah, this is the overall answer maybe to your question.
Thank you.
Said ladies first, so.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep with the ladies then. Okay. So I'll start with Dua Lipa, which I hope everyone knows her. As you know, she's from Kosovo. She grew up here, but to become the superstar she is today, she had to go somewhere else. It's pretty much the same with startups. Unfortunately, the moment you click Kosovo, there are some red flags for most of the global companies. So we do have talents like Dua Lipa in startup ecosystem in Kosovo. And this has been proven by dozens of experts that we bring through Swiss Entrepreneurship Program in Kosovo. It's always the same, like, wow, it's the greatest talent that we've seen in Kosovo compared to the region. It's the same thing that we constantly hear. However, we struggle with scaling companies globally. Probably I'll talk about challenges later on, but I want to keep the talent here, and with the support that I've heard today from BKT, which I'm very happy as a client of 10 years, my money are safe, so that's good. And with Keiretsu Forum, hopefully with the government support, we will have more startups scaling globally rather than doing outsource. I do not like to portray Kosovo as an outsourcing country, but rather a product country. I have been part of pitch competitions in the last 4 years, like dozens of them. I've seen great ideas that remain ideas. And the best idea is an executed idea. So I hope that we will see more executed ideas with the support of Keiretsu Forum, with the support of government, and with the hard work and dedication of our youth in Kosovo.
Thank you.
Man second.
Boys, then men. No.
As long as it's boys and not
There you have it.
plus, minus, whatever. It's all good.
Well, first of all, I feel honored to be part of this because I'm a relative newcomer to the story. You can focus on the 113 startups, but only, the last dozen of those are here, and those have been over the last three and a half years. So while I might have some more insights on angel investing as a whole, and the process of deal making and the process of investment, my experience here is less. But I can offer the fact that a few facts of why I've started to get involved here. Now, I was already in Albania for many years, so I culturally and just relationally, I fit and enjoy it. But I was in California, in America, right in the center of startups. And had a significant position, was speaking at angel conferences, led one of the, Keiretsu is the largest angel network, but the largest individual angel group was this Tech Coast Angels, which I was leading. So, I was right where all of the stories and the movies you see about startups are.
Stole you from that.
Well, and it's an interesting thing. Under COVID, I got frustrated where we all just closed up as much as possible, as fast as possible, and stayed closed up in America. And it was like all of the business world was saying, oh, great, we don't have to try as hard anymore. We have an excuse to do it from a distance, an excuse to just be happy with what we have. And I kind of see that as a metaphor, because it's like we're looking back, or we're building walls to protect what we have. And it made me realize that even though I was right in the center of, you know, all the great unicorn stories, I missed that forward focus of the Balkans. That idea about tomorrow might be different than today, and I'm going to lean in and see what can happen. And I'll, you know, you mix that with just today. I drove here with somebody who's part of a couple of interesting startups. We talked together about an investment we're doing together and how excited we were about the entrepreneur we invested in. We came and, well, I sat with Ardian and talked about his latest startup. And then we went and visited 2 other tech businesses in Kosovo that are starting to scale at very interesting pace. And the questions that they were asking about the other startups we were part of, I just thought, these are world-class entrepreneurs in a small market, dreaming about a bigger market, working together to achieve things, working across borders. In the case of the startup, the last startup I visited, they're at a giant level, reaching international things, but saying our people here are smart enough to create a product that works on the world. So it's not even grow from 1 nation to 2 nations to 5. It was just starting global from the local asset. So I thought, you know, maybe it wasn't a bad move to have relocated 3 years ago back to the Balkans. Start to sow some seeds. It's not a straightforward path. It's not A leads to B leads to C. It's a lot of networking. It's public-private partnership. It's banks and institutions saying, well, what are we going to do? Something should happen here. How can we get our heads together and not be competitive, but be synchronized to see more happen? I think we're starting to see the fruit of that. So I'm highly optimistic at the same time as saying, yes, okay, there's things to be done still, but we're headed a very dramatic direction, and it's an honor to be part of it.
Very, very quick question. So the guy, the very successful guy, that very successful investor guy that you drove with, it was it Driton, the guy with the chicken, or?
He kept the chicken to himself.
All right.
That hidden, so I didn't.
So it was a good guess. Mr. President.
All right. So basically, I wasn't supposed to be here, but they said that we need 1 more man to keep the gender balance. So I said, okay, to keep it 50-50. Yeah, we have too many women leaders. Qikat na izbardhën ftyrën. We also have a slogan. You know, like she mentioned Dua Lipa, we have 2 female presidents of the country. We have Maylinda Kalmendi and so many. Anyway, so basically, I agree 100% with all of what was said. And I really believe that we are in the best moment in our history. First, we live in freedom, you know, which we didn't have until 1999. And I'm old enough to have lived part of that. And now, I mean, we have the possibility to create companies here that would serve globally. The startup that Grant mentioned, it's Albaphone, my new eSIM company, which today we, in less than a month, it's going to be a month on September 7th, we have customers from 127 countries. 127 countries. And I mean, it's a company that I started here, and it was built by Flakrem over there, base code. So I really am very, very positive about this, and with our team at Keiretsu, every single one of them, we really worked so hard, day and night, to bring together all the players in the ecosystem and increase collaboration and basically set the grounds for all this amazing talent that we have in the region, and basically show the world what we can do, how many unicorns we can create, and especially the Western Balkans, because we've kind of been outside, you know, the region, and now we're catching up. And with all the work that we're doing, we are really in the radar of a lot of VCs. We are in the radar of a lot of people globally, and I believe that the more success stories we will have, the more we're going to attract even more talent, more capital, more other programs, and so on. So again, I really want to emphasize again the support of BKT. It's in their philosophy, and like it was said, their numbers speak, but it's their mindset, and we are so grateful for them to be part of Keiretsu as members, but also as supporters. They hosted, they supported so many of our events, including this one today, and some future ones. And it's not only that, but it's also the seriousness that their brand as an institution bring to a network like ours. And then it makes it easier for us to connect. It makes it easier for us to have even more members, which means that there is more potential for investment. There is more brains that can work together from the investor's side, and basically together there is no limits.
Absolutely agreed. I think we all agree. But I was actually a little bit hit by what Arta said. And there's the streams of some startups which were left along the way, and some of them actually didn't succeed. And this also seemed it had to do with funding a little bit. And I want to stop a little bit there. I mean, you've been supporting and funding and supporting and funding and supporting for a very long time. You've been for a very long time in the ecosystem. Since we also have Mattia here, but I have other questions for her. Like, what's your take on this, on the innovation fund, and how important is it? And also a second question, structurally, how important it is, and what would be its role, but also how's it actually going, in your opinion?
Thank you very much. I always say that our ecosystem is suffering from some diseases, but I'm very happy that the cancer is not spreading very fast, so we can still have some opportunity to save it. Compared to the region, Kosovo is, besides Bosnia and Herzegovina, the only country that does not have an innovation fund that supports startups. What this means is, to all of you as an angel investor, it's not so easy to risk your money to invest in a company. So in most of the countries, it either starts with the state support, with schools, and then we start with angels, banks, and stuff like that. So what happens is that in the last 10 or 15 years, we've seen a lot of donor organizations supporting companies with grants, which I call pizza money, meaning that they support with 3,000, 5,000 euros. Which unfortunately, it's not so easy to scale globally with that amount of money. Compared to the region which North Macedonia, now even Montenegro have set $1 million euros funds to support startups with innovation ideas. In Kosovo, we even struggle with the word startups. It's actually a new business rather than a tech business that has an innovative solution. And we at Swiss Entrepreneurship Program have been trying a lot to support the government to incentivize, to discuss for the importance of the Innovation Fund. Besides Innovation Fund, what our government is missing as an incentive is to have the law on sponsorship. We have an amazing law on sponsorship when it comes to sports and art, which is very easy as an instrument to be applicable for startups. I just took some notes here that, let's say, in Poland, there's a Polish Act on economic activity. In Hungary, there's corporate income tax deduction on startup sponsorship. In Romania, there's fiscal code that is a tax incentive for startups. So most of the countries are moving forward in this regard. And while I respect tremendously the work of Keiretsu Forum, and Ardian is aware of that, because when we had the first events, I remember people asking, so what are we doing here? Like, you know, they were maybe assuming that, you know, the investment will happen right there, or like, what's the point of this event? The idea is that we had to talk about awareness, because we are moving from the mentality of free money from donors to an investment concept. I've talked with many people with financial skills, and we mentored several of them in Angel Investor. And it's a different world when it comes to investment. So you might know good math and finance, but it's not as straightforward as investing money, because there's a lot of regulation involved, and how you evaluate the company and stuff like that, which we as Swiss Entrepreneurship Program do support the whole process from both sides. The companies, when they ask for investor, we support with a mentor, be that syndicate, crowdfunding, or angel investor and VCs. Also in regards to mentoring investment managers as well as future angel investors.
But apart from the hats, sorry to disturb, so you've been wearing many hats, but apart from the role you have at Swiss EP, is your personal opinion that it goes as much as so the clinging or actually giving the idea to startups that money only comes from donors or from, you called it something else, I call it helicopter money. So do you think that is counterproductive to the point that in a very early stage ecosystem in which is very early, this becomes dangerous, so that startups actually start thinking that money just comes from donors and not from private sector? Is it as this dangerous? Do you personally think it goes to that extent, or what is your thought?
So we have here Makerspace. I'm sure ICK has a lot of stories as well in this regard. I'm going to try to keep it short. I remembered so many cases that teams would go and run after donors, like today is a green tech, tomorrow is an agri-tech, the day after tomorrow is something other topic. So it doesn't come from their own idea that I want to do this regardless of a donor or whether I have a land there to lend as collateral, because this is a big issue in especially discussing about women that have a low percentage of property. So usually they kind of try to tackle different aspects. To me, it's not about, there's no such thing as free lunch, as they say. So even in donors, they require a lot of reports, which are quite boring and a lot of papers. So it's not that easy, because they have to go through a process of being able to pitch their idea and get the funds. Together with Makerspace, we've been supporting in several processes, and the idea is that they need more serious funding regardless of where these money are coming from. That's the point. So we are working in, we have a big problem in the funnel. So we're doing well in pre-incubation and incubation program, but we do not have any acceleration, proper acceleration program, which means a company, a team will come up with an amazing idea, have these 3, 5, whatever, €1,000, try to do potentially a prototype, and that's it. It stops there. So there is no other door to go and say, okay, I need a little bit of scale here so that I can go to BKT and to other sources to get more funds. So I see this as a bigger problem rather than because there are two kinds of people. The people who will always hunt for donors, it's free money, and those who really are the doers and would try to find a way to make their business happen. But as I said, as an ecosystem, it would be extremely important that we do not think about, without mentioning any names of the donors, but like we do not think about donor, we think about state, which is like the parents of a country, meaning that there's a source there, every year there's a date, you can apply, there are transparent procedures, the group that is checking your business is, let's say, international, well-known people that deal with investment. They know how they're doing this. They evaluate constantly companies and everything. And then the trust comes back. The company sees that there is a fund, and I can now think differently. One more thing before I stop. I have seen so many international people coming to Kosovo, including diaspora, saying, yeah, you know, people are quite lazy here. It's not easy to do business. True. But how many people can survive in Kosovo and say, from today, I want to quit my job because I have a dream to start my business. I'm going to die. I'm going to survive for food. Because there is no social system. There is no scheme that will help me say, like, okay, I'll try to struggle for a year or two, and then potentially my business will grow and I'll do it. So you either have like some rich families that is supporting you, or you struggle so much to save a bit of coins there to be able after a year to do something. Which is why, again, Innovation Fund is really crucial. It would make a huge impact for our ecosystem. Thank you, and sorry for extending it.
No, thank you for your very sincere feedback. And we also want to thank all the international institutions and all the international donors and representatives that we have in the room. Thank you very much for supporting the ecosystem. That's absolutely has been a game changer for the Western Balkans. But since I have Mattia here, I wanted to ask you, you've been leading the International Center, Innovation Center Kosovo for quite some time now. So what's your perspective on the topic that we've been discussing also in terms of the Innovation Fund and funding, and how do you see the startups in Kosovo doing on that regard?
So yeah, I have been, just for clarification for the audience, I'm leading Innovation Center Kosovo since January, so it's not a big time there, but yeah, I have been in the ecosystem for a long time, so I know how things are progressing and working here. So first, I want to say that I agree completely with Arta, but I would just, this but is also a complementary, not I think a difference in a substance. So I think what Arta just mentioned is realistic. We all witness it to some extent. But I just want to change the narrative, or maybe the understanding for the audience, because distinguishing between public funding and private funding, either one or another, I would say there are both important. They do serve different target groups, and they serve different purposes. So they both are needed in the Kosovo especially, and also in the Western Balkan region. And I think there is a room for maybe a better structure of the funding system in terms of better collaboration with donors, not overlapping the donors' objectives in order to kind of ease the path for grant hunters. But I still do believe that from the time that ICK is established until now, from those funds, we have been able to help 500 startups, which means 500 dreams that became reality in a very, very early stage. And just to give you a comparison or a number behind those stories is around 7.5 million euros that has been distributed through ICK, through grants, early startup support, like other donor support system, which includes capacity building, infrastructure. And this is why I think the missing piece from the puzzle in the ecosystem was the venture capital and funds, and this was kind of a missing piece that will complement and be able to give every aspiring entrepreneur succeed and flourish. Because there is a life cycle, we all know in business. And people need to go from creating and brainstorming the ideas until customizing and finding potential investors. And in all of these cycles, there are different procedures, there are different interesting targets, there are different KPIs that potential donor or investor or angel investor or VC are looking for. So this is a growing process. We cannot exclude in this process any single contributor, because they all play a significant role. And I need to assure you once more that my opinion is not hugely driven by the way how ICK works, because ICK is an NGO which is purely funded by donor funds, but I have created this opinion based on our history of success stories, history of importance in helping people, helping ecosystem, helping businesses, and also helping them transform and becoming successful entrepreneurs. And I think we have many examples. Some of them are here in this room who have, to some extent, kind of passed through the ICK and through donor-funded projects, which are very, very important. But without excluding the VCs and the acceleration programs, which are very important, I think we should also try to think on the needs and specifications to prepare startups for venture capitals and angel investors, because not all startups are ready to pitch to an investor. So it is a learning and evaluation process until idea become a unicorn. So, and the whole process should be well organized, include different stakeholders, and also it is very important to mention here the government support, and I fully agree that Innovation Fund is must-do thing, and we have to have a fund which is consistent, it has a structure, and people can count on it, because in the donor-funded projects, there are usually 1 to, or at least 1 to 2 years, mostly 5 years. And for this whole process to be covered, we need more prepared and collaborative system to help the startups grow, because it's not easy competing to the world unicorns. I think when we compete within our neighbor, it's a different competition scale and different manpower and different persistency that we need. But when we compete with region, it's different, but when we compete with the world, it's totally different. So again, this is a path, this is a learning curve, and I think to conclude, both funding options are needed, and they both need to have a proper structure in order to serve the purpose.
Could I just add something to that? There's to add or slightly clarify what both ladies have said. You could view it as, I don't know, we use this term from archery. You pull out different things to be able to shoot with, but it's not just a collection of things that, okay, we could get some government, we could get some NGO, we could get venture capital, we could get angel. There's there's actually a role for each. Now, it doesn't mean every startup will have each of those. Some might hop over, some might start to scale without it, some might have mature teams that don't need as much coaching. But in our particular sector, for example, so a couple of times there was a reference to private or public money, or dilutive or non-dilutive, and then there's sort of a reference to venture capital as a whole. But we're representing a particular piece in that, or the angel investors. Not that they're more important or less important, but it's interesting that when companies start to qualify for private investment, people who put their money in, the market is investing in it, not just, you know, winning an application. Companies that receive an angel investment perform better than those that don't. Now, there's great performers that don't have angel investing, but there's also people that try to do it just themselves, and then they qualify eventually for a big venture capital check. We could have venture capital in the Western Balkans, or it might come from somewhere else, but it's actually an important step in between there, where your peers, people around you who've done this before or done something similar, come alongside you, and a group of them add their money, and they add their expertise together with that, and it begins a dialogue that helps form the company in a better stage. And it's and yes, there's a certain stage where a government or an NGO writes you a check to just keep trying, and there's expert, you know, videos you can watch on YouTube or seminars you can go to from Swiss EP that keep you going to a certain direction. But at some point you need the market to validate that, and you need people to come alongside and mentor. And the best mentors are those who are believing with their own pocketbook, with their investment. So, and there's another side to that too. You could start to get involved in investing, those of you that have some more money, or if your startups have started to succeed, and rather than go, you know, buy a second home in another country, why don't you start investing in friends around you? But from an angel's perspective, I can write an angel check myself, or a check, that's an American term, but I could make an investment. But as an angel, I will do better if I invest as an angel group. So statistically, you know, we might not have a whole lot of data points here, but worldwide, those who are going to take an early stage investment will do better off by doing it as part of a group, where you, not just are you a peer and you can help the company, but you're believing that other people around you have something to add. And then as a startup, you'll do better if you find a group of people like that around you who believe in you and contribute. So there's a piece in that puzzle that we hope that over time, people don't skip over. You find angel groups that you'll invest from, and if you're considering investing, you'd consider joining a group. There may be other groups that form, but that's why we've come together, is to say that that's a valuable piece in that ecosystem.
I was actually, if you wouldn't have made the comment, I would have steered a little bit towards that myself. Because it was, I hope there is someone from the government still in the audience. There was a lot of very interesting proposals on the importance of the Innovation Fund as well. But also, this is what I wanted to point on and focus on a little bit. So maybe Ardian, as you are both very well-known and very successful angel investors, I wanted to have a little bit of perspective of an angel investor when it comes to this institutional intricacies, because at the end of the day there is going to be always funds, but how does one decide where these funds are going when those funds are there? Do you think that at the end of the day angels can act as, or angel groups can act as a vetting process for investing the money in the right direction?
I will answer this and then add some more. So basically, your question has to do with what Grant said, but that vetting, it means that angel investors are people who have been in business themselves in the past and now have the money and have the expertise, have the network, and they just don't want to run the company. They just want to invest and support the company. So that means when angel investors make an investment, they see something in the company. And usually, what is a brand? A brand is trust. So the brand is trust. And when the investment is made, that means those people that are investing their own pocket money, because angel investors invest their own money. They don't invest other people's money, like in VC funds or other funds. And that means that these people who know a thing or two are trusting in this company. The company, on the other hand, has more enthusiasm, has more money, more energy, you know, energized all, you know, and they make a bigger buzz, you know, they are talked about more in the community, you know, then people say, oh, whatever they're offering, service or product, it must be good, you know, because there's a lot of buzz around it. And so that's how the wheel keeps spinning, and it's a positive snowball effect. Arta mentioned Dua Lipa, and it's been, I believe, more than 20 years that I have said that we, from our region, can become #1 in the world in whatever profession that we choose. And Dua Lipa and Rita Ora and Maylina Kelmendi, Geta Becha, and all these people who have become #1 in the world in their field, you know, have made it much easier for me. And using the analogy that Arta mentioned, that they were talented, but they didn't find the ecosystem to make them successful and throw them to the world, they went to another ecosystem of music, right? Great Britain. And luckily, we have Tive, for example, which unofficially is a unicorn, unofficially. They received $52 million last year at $350 million valuation. So it's a big success story for us. And just like Dua Lipa and Rita Ora and Maylina Kelmendi and all these ladies and men, Jordan Shachiri, Granit Joka, we have some, have motivated others. Success stories like Tive and Giraffa and, you know, many more do inspire many people. And today, as I sit in this room as well, I feel much, much better and much more confident at where we are as an ecosystem, because there is more programs. I mean, you guys, you mentioned 500 startups. Some have basically grown and are successful. Some are corns, but they are popcorns. They have popped. They don't exist, you know? Unicorns, minicorns, and popcorns. Basically, these founders, these people that went through programs like yours and like Makerspace and, you know, many other programs, Venture Up that you guys support with GIZ, and also in Macedonia. I forgot the names of the programs that you support, Mark. Basically, these founders are here, you know, and I'm sure that they are working on other ideas. And now they don't start from zero, they start from experience. You know, they have the experience. And our network is growing. We are investing. And we have also created many partnerships with VCs that actually, every time we meet, they ask us, do you guys have any interesting startups that we can invest in? Do you guys have any interesting startups that you can send our way? Or we have also been invited, and I've shared it with some of our friends here. We are invited to be limited partners in their VC funds, you know? So it's amazing momentum that is being built in our region, and in the next 5 years, I'm sure we're going to have a number of minicorns, and hopefully in 5 years, even unicorns, because startups can explode, you know?
That's the dream, but dreams in our case are kind of high risk, high return, I guess. So that's the business we're in. Fortunately and unfortunately, these discussions can go on. I'm sure this panel could go on for at least another couple of hours of the discussion. But I'll just, and I know a lot of you are very keen. Some of you have taken quite a very long trip to join the networking session that we're going to have after this. We're very keen to find new innovative ways on how to get investors and startups in the room. And there is a lot of very interesting startups that us as Keiretsu, to some of the investors in the room, would be very happy to introduce. They've been traveling from quite far away to be here. There's very interesting newcomers to the ecosystem. So it's going to be a very interesting networking session, I'm pretty sure, given our track record up to today. But just very to go to the one very last question to Arta, actually, and it might be similar to where you want to go, probably. So when it comes to the instruments that we might have, I mean, it would be great to have had the Prime Minister here hear all this, but I suppose that, for example, Montenegro is doing quite a good job also in offering some legal incentive in a way. Do you see those incentives as interesting and having an application also in Kosovo and in the part in the region? That's for you. And then just a very quick, very like 10-second, 20-second answer, like for each and any one of you to close. What would be, if you would have to do, if you would have the magic wand, magic stick, if you could choose one thing that would be the most impactful sort of wish that you would have, a dream that you could command, what would it be for the ecosystem in Kosovo and the region as well? What would be the most important thing? Arta, please.
Thank you. First of all, I am working for a donor project. I'm representing a donor project, so I have nothing against the donors. The point is about mindset and how they use it. In all of the regional countries, including Montenegro that you just mentioned, there were donors, the one who actually chipped in their money in the government to make this innovation fund. And that is because startups, aspiring entrepreneurs, have to be aware of one source, that is the government, that will be able to give this money, so that they don't really focus that much on, do we have to talk about sustainability or this topic or that topic so we get the money. But instead, it is really their free, how to say, their mind is fully linked to the business that they feel that it's going to work, whatever that is. So that's the point of this investment as an opportunity that we've been talking a lot with the government. We will be talking in the future. Our efforts are constantly there. Hopefully, at some point, we will have this. The law on startup includes the innovation fund, which is actually finished but not ratified and not implemented. So on paper, we're good. I hope in implementation, we will not take forever to start. And I will be also very short. We are sponsored by a bank, and I always keep saying that life is about credit. You know, like we all have to pay some interest. Some banks offer higher interest, some lower. So it's all about finding this best bank that offers the lowest interest rate. So I keep this information with startups saying, try to find this best bank that offers you a low interest rate so you get higher value with the money that you get. Keep being curious and meet as many people as possible. Be open to opportunities. and they suddenly pop up like albaphone. You know. Thank you.
That was an absolute fitting ending, let's say, to the discussion about also funding today, when we are celebrating this achievement in collaboration with BKT. So they don't really have to find the bank. We've already put it in the spotlight. So we have the bank with the best interests in the room for the startups that are sitting here. So prepare to get assaulted by the startups after the networking. They're going to want to know more. Petit.
Okay. What was the question?
The question in the very end was, if standing from the position of Innovation Center Kosovo, because I'm messing all names tonight. What is it, if you would have that magic wand, you had one thing, grant a wish that would have the most impact in the startup ecosystem and in your work? If you could get it done by next week, whatever it is, whatever you want, what would it be?
Secure funding for running the Innovation Center Kosovo, because we are donor funded and we need to have government funding, like in every like state in the region also, but globally innovation hubs are funded by the government. So I would probably make the magic button and pursue the structural government funding for hubs.
Anyone from the government still here, or is everybody already left? Okay,
Yeah, it's
good.
Friday.
It's Friday. Didn't work. So, back to Mr. President. If you had the same wish to grant, grant the wish, but the grant is on the panel.
Well, actually, one point, I don't know how many years ago, we were invited by Kadri Veseli when he was entering politics, and he came to AmCham. And as a member, I asked a question. I said, if and when you come to power, would it be possible for the government to allocate 1 million euros for startups? I said 1 million euros for startups is like 10 cents for me. And actually, when they came to power, they allocated 20 million euros and created the Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which is now within another ministry. And my one wish would be now for the government to allocate 100 million for startups. And that 100 million, there is a number of mechanisms how it can be allocated to one or more VC funds that can manage it as private money. And especially in Bulgaria, we can take a lot of examples, but I know that in 3 to 5 years, with the work that we are doing together, I'm sure that the governments will listen to us more because of the success stories that we are producing. So I just wish that we continue this way and we expand, and I'm sure that, when they have to budget whether to invest in agriculture or this or that, they will consider startup investing a little more, and also in programs that produce startups and produce founders. So I'm sure in 3 to 5 years they will allocate 100 million, and I am happy that I am on record and we can replay this visit. The date today is September 6, 2024.
Amen. Grant. May your wish come true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my wish,
Come on, dreams are for free,
This
Grant.
is
Come on,
this is
I mean,
going to
don't think
sound
too much.
odd, and it might sound nationalistic on my part, and I don't mean it that way. But my wish was that you do not become too Western European. And by that, I in one sense, that could be the American, something that undergirded innovation and really changed. But I actually think that Eastern Europe is going to save Europe.
I have one word for that, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. You know, we could talk about it from like a family and values and morality side or something, that you're reminding of some things that have been forgotten in the West, and I would encourage you to be confident in the things that you believe in and can offer. But I would also say that from this, again, this forward-facing, future orientation, I think you're going to catch up and at some point beat those that are further west from here or further north. So if you kind of take that southeast and even moving over in some ways to, I'm involved in some interesting things elsewhere in the Middle East, that I just think they're much more interesting. And personally, they're interesting enough that I'm leaving even America, which is pretty good at it, but I was really happy to hop straight over Western Europe and come back here. So my hope was that you would embrace that and say yes. And if you start to get pressure for your companies to get more formalized or too bureaucratic or too slow or too cautious, say no, we're going to remember that era and we had nothing to lose because it's all been bad behind us. We're just going to plow ahead and see what happens and keep that really innovative entrepreneurial spirit alive. And so I'm encouraging you that your companies are getting better and interesting, but at some point they're going to be the tip of the spear that, you know, changes the world and does more so than your neighbors just to the west.
That's, I already said what I had to say about that. Actually, I was on the way, while you were having the trip with the very important investor, I was on the way with a very important professor, which is Dr. Zanish, was joining Albania just lately. He's actually the guy who wrote and designed the new strategy for innovation for the Albanian ecosystem. So he's in the room. He has an incredible wealth of experience, and we were talking just about that. The fact that Europe, we like it or not, has seen fleeing startups because of over-regulation and over-red tape. And it would be great if actually in this part we could teach a little bit of a story of getting things done without putting too much documents, too many applications, and getting them tired and leave the region, but rather stay here. And this should be our aim. So my little dream for tonight, since I'm also get to have a little wish, is that you guys have a wonderful evening after this at the networking, and that you actually find that taking the trip today here for whoever came from far away, and whoever lives here and had other things, and it's Friday, still staying here, finds that there is a lot of very interesting people in the room, and I'd very like to invite you to talk to each other. There's really, I mentioned some of them, but there's incredible investors, very incredible startups, consultants, people from the ecosystem, professors who are sitting in this very room. So please make my little dream come true. Have an amazing night tonight. Thank you very much for coming.